It's Algebra 1 spring test for week 3. So we're calling it test number 3. This part 2. We got through lesson 5.5 where we did point slope form. Number 10 is where we're picking up. It says write an equation for the line that is parallel to the given line and passes through the given point. Now, when we originally did these problems, we did them as slope-intercept form. We had a slope and an intercept. In this number 10, y equals mx plus b, you can see a slope and an intercept, but you're given a point. This week we learned about point slope form. Notice it doesn't tell you which form of an equation to put it in. When you're doing a multiple choice test, you may have to pick one version over the other. But in this case, since it doesn't tell us, we're going to do it in the easiest version possible. What we know about parallel lines is they have the same slope. So y equals mx plus b, you know what the slope of this equation is. It's -5. So since they have the same slope, our equation, excuse me, our equation for our parallel line will have 5 as its slope. Since we're given a slope and we have a point, this is what I meant by doing it in the easiest version possible. We can put it in point slope form. So y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. All we have to do from here is plug in or sub in the things that we know. M's value goes here. It's -5. Remember, you do not change the sign for that one. X's value and Y's value, or X sub 1 and Y sub 1, are going to go in these two spots. And remember, it's the opposite of what it shows in the point. This is X. It says -6, so you put in +6. This is Y. It says 3, so you put in the opposite, -3. Again, it does not tell you which form of an equation to write. It gives you slope-intercept form, but this is a form of an equation that is acceptable. Again, on the test tomorrow, this might not be an option. You may have to distribute -5 to x and 6 and then move over -3 by adding 3. If you did that, you'd have -5x minus 30 on the right, and when you added 3 to it, you'd have -27. So y equals -5x plus 27 would be your slope-intercept form. Same thing for number 11. You're given something, it wants a parallel version of it. Remember, you're parallel to the same slope. So your m value for this one is 3/4. So this is your point for -8. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Plug in your slope first. Remember, that's not going to change. Your m value is going to stay as positive 3/4. Your x sub 1 and your y sub 1 switch. Your x goes into parentheses with the x. It's 4, so x sub 1 is the opposite, -4. Your y goes next to the y. It says -8. The opposite of that is +8. There it is, point slope form. Number 12 says tell whether these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither one. Parallel lines, we just said for number 10 and 11, have the same slope. M values are the same. Perpendicular lines, their slopes, remember, are negative reciprocals of each other. Remember, that means the sign changes. Reciprocal means it flips. If it's not the same, if it's not a negative reciprocal, then it's neither one. It's just two equations that have different slopes. On the first two equations, 7x minus 4y equals 4 and x minus 4y equals 3, you cannot see the slope of either one of those equations. So we have to convert them to where we can see the slope. The easiest version to convert them to is slope-intercept form. So the first one, 7x minus 4y equals 4. In order to move that one to make it say y equals mx plus b, we have to move 7x over to the other side. It's positive 7x. Since it's positive, 7x subtracted. If you subtract the left, subtract 7x on the right. That does not give you -11x because you cannot take 7x away from 4 because they're not like terms. It does, however, cancel it out on this side and leave you with -4y. On the right-hand side, if we want to make it say mx plus b, we'll say mx first, -7x, and then +4 is already there. One more thing to where we can see the slope. We need to undo -4 times y by dividing by -4. If you do it there, you need to do it to every term on the right-hand side. -7 divided by -4, negative divided by negative is a +7/4x. So without even doing the rest of the problem, we can already see what its slope is going to be, 7 over 4. But positive 4 divided by negative 4 will be negative 1 if you want to see the rest of it. What I said a second ago is we can already see the slope. We can see the m value. Remember, for the directions, we're determining if it has the same slope or different slopes. The other equation says x minus 4 y is equal to 3. We want to check the slope of that one. Again, you can't see that one. So this is one of the longer problems because you can't see either slope. In order to do that, we want to move x over. We'll go a little quicker through this one. Subtract x on both sides. Negative 4y equals negative x, positive 3. Undo negative 4 times y by dividing by negative 4. Do it here, here, and here. Negative 1 divided by negative 4 is positive 1 over 4x. And 3 divided by negative 4 is negative 3 over 4. Now, we can see what its m value is. Y equals mx plus b. We can compare the two slopes. We can compare 7 over 4 with 1 over 4. Clearly, they are not the same slope. Those are clearly not the same number, and they are not negative reciprocals of each other. Therefore, your answer to this problem, to answer the question that is asked, are they parallel, are they perpendicular, or are they neither one? This will be neither one. They are not the same, and they are not negative reciprocals of each other. 13, on the other hand, its first equation, y equals 3/4 x plus 1, you can see the slope. You can already see what m is. So we have less work, much less work, or it seems like much less work than we had to do for number 12. We do have to convert the other equation, though. The other equation says 12x. I'm just rewriting it. Plus 9y equals 24. You want y equals mx plus b. So you want to move over mx, or 12x. It's positive, subtract it. You subtract the left, subtract the right. We can't take it away from 24 because one has x, one does not like terms. We have positive 9y still equals negative 12x, positive or plus 24. One more thing we got to do, we have to divide by 9 to get y by itself. Divide that, divide this, and divide this. And I'm running off the screen. Negative 12 divided by 9. The number 3 goes into both of those. It goes into negative 12, negative 4 times, and into 9 3 times. So negative 4 over 3x. 24 divided by 9. Again, 24, the number 3 goes into both of these. Or it goes into 24 positive 8 times and into 9 3 times. We're not interested in the y-intercept, though. We're interested in the slope of that line. Its slope is negative 4 over 3. So let's compare our two slopes. I'm just going to bring this one down and rewrite it where we can see it a little clearer. 3 over 4 is the slope of the first line. How do these two slopes compare to each other? Clearly, they are not the exact same. One of them is 3 over 4. The other one is negative 4 over 3. So they're not parallel lines. But perpendicular lines, remember, are negative reciprocals of each other. Two things have to happen. They have to flip. That's what reciprocal means. 3 over 4 flips to 4 over 3. That's good. And negative means the sign changes. Remember, one will be positive, the other will be negative. That's what we have here. We have negative reciprocals. Therefore, 13, these two lines are perpendicular of each other. So to answer the question, number 12 is neither. Number 13, the lines are perpendicular. Again, these are two of the longer problems on the study guide and subsequently the test. Number 14 says write an equation that's perpendicular to the given line that passes through the given point. Again, when we originally did this, we did it in slope-intercept form. It was more work than we have to do now since we know point-slope form. You have to identify the slope first. In this first equation, number 14, you cannot see the slope. You have to change the equation to where you can see the slope. So we need y equals mx plus b. Move over negative 2x. It says negative, so add 2x. You add it to the left, add 2x to the right. Again, that's not going to give us any version of number 9 because you can't put negative 11 together with something that has an x term. What we have, though, is negative 7y still. Don't lose the negative. Is equal to a positive 2x and a negative 11. Undo negative 7 times y by dividing by negative 7. Do it to all terms on the right, this one and this one. It gives us y is equal to negative 2 over 7x. A negative 11 divided by negative 7 is a positive 11 over 7. Now, all we're interested in from this equation is its slope value, or its m value, this one right here. Its m value is negative 2 over 7. It says it is going through this point here, negative 4, negative 8. Remember, when you're writing an equation, we have a point and we have a slope. So point slope form is the easiest version. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. We can plug in our m value. But wait, before we do that, the equation that was given, its slope was negative 2 over 7. It doesn't say it's parallel to that line. It says it's perpendicular to that line. So what do we know if the lines are perpendicular? What do you do with the slope? You have to do two things. You have to take the negative reciprocal. Negative meaning the sign changes. So it's no longer negative 2 over 7. It becomes positive. Reciprocal means it flips. So it's no longer positive 2 over 7. It becomes positive 7 over 2. That is what it means to be a perpendicular line. Therefore, in place of m, 7 over 2 goes there, not negative 2 over 7, perpendicular. In place of the x sub 1 and y sub 1 values, y's value is negative 8. You put the opposite of that, so you put positive 8. And x sub 1's value is the opposite of this one here. It says negative 4. We put in positive 4. Point slope form, since we learned that one this week. One less thing we have to do. Number 15 is slightly easier than 14, only because you can already see what the slope is. You don't have to convert the equation. Y equals mx plus b. Its m value then is 2/3. Again, this equation, it says in the directions, is perpendicular to the equation you want to write. So what do you need to do to the slope to make it perpendicular? It needs to be the negative reciprocal. Negative meaning it changes from positive to negative. Reciprocal means it flips from 2/3 to 3 over 2. This is the slope of the perpendicular line, not this one. Therefore, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. All you have to do is sub in the values. So negative 3 over 2 is your new slope. X sub 1's value is the opposite of this one. It says minus 6, so we put plus 6. Y sub 1's value is the opposite of this one. It says positive 5. We put negative 5. Again, tomorrow, you're going to do these problems, and neither one of these answers that I have in boxes here for 14 and 15, neither one of those might be an available answer choice as a multiple choice answer. If it's not given in point slope form, you have to know how to convert each one of these into slope intercept form. It might give you it in slope intercept form instead. Y equals mx plus b. You know that you need to distribute 7 over 2 to x plus 4, or negative 3 over 2 to x plus 6, and then move the plus 8 or the minus 5 over. Just convert it right back to slope intercept form. So if you see that tomorrow, don't freak out. This one tells you to identify the slope and y-intercept of the equation and then graph it. Simple. Both of these are in. Y is equal to mx plus b form. B's value is 3. B in slope-intercept form tells you where to begin because it begins with the letter B. On the y-axis, you're beginning at positive 3 right there. That's where it tells you to begin, at positive 3. Your slope, your m, is 6 over 5. That's what your m value is. That tells you where to move. Remember, m tells you where to move. It tells you to go up 6 because it's rise over run. 6 means go up. If it were negative, you'd go down. 5 is positive. Run tells you to go left or right. 5, since it's positive, tells you to go right. So from the point where we began at 3, we're going to go up 6. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and to the right 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where we're going to put our second point. Once you have 2 points, you draw a straight line through both of them, and you make yourself an equation. Not that. Nope. I get it eventually. go. And there is your equation right there. Looks like that. The second one, number 7, says y equals negative 3x minus 3. Again, y equals mx plus b. M's value is negative 3. B's value, remember the sign always goes with it, is also negative 3. B tells you to begin. B is negative 3. Begin tells you to begin at negative 3. So on your y-axis, again, this one's the y, begin at negative 3. 1, 2, 3, right there. Okay. Your m value tells you where to move. M's value is also negative 3. Remember with slopes, though, slopes are always rise over run. It needs to be in fraction form. If it's not a fraction like this one, you have to create it. If it's an integer like this one, you have to create fraction form by putting it over the only number you're allowed to put everything over. What I mean by that is that now says negative 3 divided by 1. The only number you can divide negative 3 by without changing it to something different besides negative 3 is 1. That's why we're allowed to put everything over negative 1. So your slope then is negative 3 over 1. It's still rise over run. Negative 3 tells you to go down 3 times since it's rise, either up or down. 1 tells you to run to the left or to the right. Since it's positive, says right. So from the point where we began at negative 3, we're going to go down 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1 time. And that's where our second point's going to go. We have 2 points. You only need 2 points to draw an equation. Remember when we did equations where we were plugging values in, we did more than 2 where we can see any errors. But these are considered quick graphs right here where we can draw them this way. And the equation will look like that. Y equals mx plus b. This was the first form of an equation we learned, slope-intercept. Write an equation. Again, we're going backwards through all the stuff we learned. Y equals mx plus b. If you don't know y equals mx plus b, write it a bunch of times until you know it. Just like we do point slope form where we say y blank equals blank parentheses x blank, we can do the same format for slope intercept form. Y equals blank x blank mx plus b. M's value they show us right here is 4, so right here in place of m, we're putting in 4. B's value they show us right here is negative 10, so right here in place of 10 of b, we're putting in negative 10. It says y equals mx plus b, so it would actually be plus a negative 10, but remember there's no reason to write plus a negative value. You simply write minus what that number is. Write the slope-intercept form of the equation. It's called slope-intercept for a reason because it shows you a slope, m, and it shows you an intercept, b. So we need to write it as y equals mx plus b, just like we just did on number 18. Again, y equals blank x blank, mx plus b. So we need to figure out, or we need to decide what our values are. B might be a harder number for you to determine what it is because we can look at B and we can see it's kind of in the middle. So let's leave B for just a second. Let's go get the value that we can absolutely see. We can see what M is. Remember, M or slope, your M value, is your rise either up and down over your run, either left or right. If you're going to go down, it's going to be negative. You're going to go up, it's going to be positive. We can clearly see the slope's going downhill. We can clearly see it's going downhill, so we know it's going to be a negative slope. So if we start on the one that's all the way on the left, we just got to count how many times we got to go down. We're going down once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're trying to get to this point here. So if we go down 7, we know that that's negative 7. And then we see how many times we got to run, how many times we have to go from that point to the right. We're going to have to go over once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6 times to the right. Again, we're going to the right, so it'll be positive 6. So our slope for this one, if we plug in right here in place of m, we're plugging in negative 7 over 6. It doesn't get any harder than that. Okay. Now we can guess at this point based on our picture that it's going through the point negative 1.5 or negative 3/2. So you can make that guess. If you don't feel good about looking at it and saying, oh, well, it's in the middle, That's your b value then is negative 1.5 or negative 3/2. If you don't like doing that, you can plug in something you know to find something you don't know. You can plug in a point like these 2 points that are highlighted for you already here, or this point here, are absolutely going through intersections. So you could plug both of those in to point slope form, which you know, or you could plug them into y equals mx plus b again, where y equals m's value of negative 7 over 6 times x value plus b. This is what we did when we were solving for y equals mx plus b. Like if we wanted to plug in this value right here, we would plug it in as positive 2, negative 4. So the y value, this was this one right here, y would be negative 4, and the x value would be right here, would be 2. So negative 7 times 2 is negative 14 over 6. So we got negative 14 over 6 plus b equals negative 4. And then if we wanted to get b by itself, we would add 14 over 6. Or we can multiply if we want to get rid of fractions, which a lot of us would rather do. We can multiply everything to get rid of divide by 6. Multiply this, this, and this by 6. And we would get negative 24. We're going to have bigger numbers but no fractions. This is going to cancel negative 14 plus 6b. We're going to add 14 to both sides and get negative 10 equals 6b. And then we're going to divide by 6 on both sides, this one and this one. B then is equal to negative 10 over 6. This will cancel out and give us negative 5 over 3. Now we can see based on this that had we guessed b's value as negative 1/2, we were wrong. It's not negative 1/2. B's value then is negative 5 over 3. So as you're choosing answers tomorrow, make sure you choose a number that works, or one that's close enough. Negative 1.5 is not what it winds up being. It winds up being b's value at negative 5 over 3. So good thing we did that. It would have probably been easier to plug it into point slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, and solve it that way. It probably would have been a little quicker. But that's our b value, negative 5 over 3. Number 20, this one's a whole lot easier. It says find the slope and y-intercept. What you need to know is what is slope and what is y-intercept. You need to know slope is m. You need to know y-intercept is b. You know this is in the form y is equal to mx plus b. This is m right here, and this is b plus b right here. So you can see easily that this is your m value, 3/5. So your slope is 3/5. And again, this is going back a lot. For us, this ought to be easy for you. And your y-intercept is this one right here. Remember, the sign goes with it. It says plus b. Your y-intercept is negative 4. Number 21 says use the slope and y-intercept to graph the equation. Y equals negative x minus 3 mx plus b. Mx plus b. Again, just like we graphed it a little while ago. B's value tells you where to begin right here, negative 3. B is negative 3. Says to begin on your y-axis at negative 1, 2, 3 right there. M's value, this one's a little harder to see, is negative whatever's multiplying by x. In this case, M's value is negative 1. Remember, fractions or slopes are always fractions, rise over run. So you got to create a fraction if it doesn't have one like this. Put it over 1. It tells you where to move. It tells you to go down 1 since it's negative 1. So from the point we're at negative 3, we're going to go down 1. And it tells you to go to the left or to the right. It's positive, tells you to go to the right. So from that point, we're going to go down 1 and to the right 1. And we're going to put our second point right next to it. I know my graph is nice and tight right there. But you have 2 points. Just went down 1 and to the right 1. It ought to be easy for you to draw a line down 1 and to the right 1 like that. And there's your graph. Y equals mx plus b. 21, find the x and y intercepts. This is a little bit quicker. X-intercept, you plug in 0 for the opposite one. So if you're looking for the x-intercept, you plug in 0 right here. So negative 6x minus 4 times 0 is equal to 72. Equal to 72. When you multiply negative 4 and 0, you get 0. anything times 0. So what it's going to do is it's going to get rid of that part of the problem for you. So you have negative 6x equals 72. Get x by itself by dividing by negative 6. If you do it there, do it here. X then is equal to a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 6 goes into 7 one time, and you got 1 left over. 6 goes into 12 twice. So x is negative 12. In order to find your y-intercept, you're going to do the same thing, except you're going to plug in 0 for the opposite one, x. So negative 6 times 0 minus 4y equals 72. Again, anytime you multiply something by 0, it gives you 0. It eliminates that part of the problem. This part's gone. You have negative 4y then is equal to 72. In order to get y by itself, divide by negative 4. If you do it there, do it here. Y then is equal to, again, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 4 goes into 7 one time, and you have 3 left over. 4 goes into 32 8 times. Therefore, y's intercept is negative 18. Our next lesson, we're going to introduce standard form. This is standard form, ax plus by equals c. And this is what you use it for to graph the equations. Again, when we get to that lesson, I'll talk a little more about that. Find the slope of the line. Simple. Find 2 points that are 2 intersections. Make sure you're not going through the middle of any values. What I mean by that, like this would be a bad one to pick because it's in the middle on your y value. You're not sure what it is. So pick 2 good ones, like this is probably a good one, and this is probably a good one. And count. Your slope, remember, is how many times you go up or down, your change of y, over how many times you go left or right, your change of x. You have to go up 1 time, 2 times. Up 2 is positive 2. And you go to the right 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. To the right is positive 3. So your slope then is 2/3. And you could check to make sure you have positive versus negative. Does your ramp go up or down? 24 says find the slope. Just give you 2 points, no picture this time. Again, you can use the slope formula, or you could simply say the change of y, 0 minus 7, over the change of x, 8 minus 3. 0 minus 7 is negative 7. 8 minus 3 is 5. There's no number that goes into both negative 7 and 5. Therefore, your slope for these 2 points, or the slope for that equation, would be negative 7 over 5. Graph this linear equation. Again, y equals mx plus b. Here's m, here is b. B tells you where to begin. Begin at negative 1 right here on your y-axis. M's value is negative 4. Remember, slopes are always fractions, so make a fraction if it isn't in fraction form. Negative 4 over 1, rise over run, tells you to go down 4 and to the right 1. Rise over run. Down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 1. There is your second point right there. Down 4 and to the right 1. Once you have 2 points, draw yourself a straight line through both of them, and your graph should look like that. 26, solve for y, then graph it, okay? So all you're doing for this one is you're moving it over to make it say y equals mx plus b, and then you're graphing it. And again, this is going back a bunch. So the only thing you want to move over is 2x. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. When you undo equations, anytime you use inverse operations, you work backwards through that. So you do Aunt Sally, you do addition and subtraction first. 2x is adding to y. Remember, so there's addition and subtraction. This is the sign that tells you how to undo it, though. It says plus 2x or positive 2x. You subtract it to undo it. If you're going to do it to the left, subtract 2x on the right. You don't get any form of the number negative 5 right here because you can't take x away from something that doesn't have x. So y equals mx, negative 2x, plus b, minus 3. So now it's solved for y. Y equals mx plus b. Then graph the equation. M's value we know from all the other problems we've been doing is negative 2. B's value is, the sign goes with it, negative 3. B tells you to begin at negative 3 right here. M's value is negative 2. Remember, write it as a fraction if it's not in fraction form. Tells you to go down 2, go right 1. So down 2, 1, 2, and to the right 1, there is your second point. 2 points. Draw yourself a line through those 2 points. There's your graphed equation. Then we're solving these equations, 27, 8, 9, and 30. 4x plus 9 is equal to 3x plus 6. We have variables on both sides. We want x equals a number. We have variables on both sides. So bring your smaller x, 3x, over to your larger x, 4x. It's positive, so subtract it. If you do it to the right side, subtract 3x on the left side. It leaves you with 1x right there. Plus 9 is equal to 6. Then undo plus 9 by subtracting it on that side. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. X then is negative 3. For number 28, you have a bunch of D's all on the same side. Then you got one D on the other side. Before you try to undo anything, you have to combine all your like terms. 8D, 4D, and 5D. 8 and 4 is 12, plus 5 is 17D, minus 9 is equal to 2D. Now, typically, like on number 27, when you have variables on both sides and you want to collect them, you would bring your smaller 2D over to your larger 17D. But since there's a negative 9 over there, it would make us move something else over. So instead of doing that, we'll bring the larger positive 17D over by subtracting it. If you do it there, subtract it here. 2 minus 17 is negative 15D. Remember, anytime you have opposite signs like that, subtract them. Keep the larger absolute value. On the left side, the 17D is gone, but you still have negative 9. In order to get D by itself, which you'll have it on this side this time, we want to undo negative 15 times D by dividing by negative 15. You do it to the right, do it to the left. The number negative 3 goes into both of these. It goes into 9 3 times, and it goes into 15 5 times. Therefore, D's value in this case is 3 over 5. 4 over 5 times x plus 2 is equal to 7. Again, order of operations backwards for this problem. You want x's value equals. So in order to get that, undo plus 2 by subtracting it on both sides. 7 minus 2 is 5 right there then. So what we have now is 4 over 5 times x. And I know I'm getting a little squished on space, but 4 over 5 times x equals 5. This says 4 over 5 times something. We know to undo 4 over 5 times something by dividing by 4 over 5. We also know that dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So to save ourselves a step, instead of writing divide by 4 over 5 on both sides and then changing it, we can multiply right now by its reciprocal, 5 over 4. If you multiply the right by 5 over 4, we're going to do the same thing on the left, or both sides. This side will cancel and leave us with x. That's what we were trying to get. If we multiply straight across from this point, 5 times 5, we're going to get a number 25, and 1 times 4, we're going to get 4. There's no number that goes into both of those, so even though that is an improper fraction, it is considered reduced, 25 over 4. And then the last problem says 18, and I'm going to recopy it just because I'm out of room right here. 18 is equal to negative d plus 15. Again, order of operations tells you to undo this backwards. So undo addition and subtraction first. Plus 15's first, minus 15. If you do it there, do it to the other side as well. So 18 minus 15 is 3, is equal to, you still have negative d there. Now that's not d, that's negative d, or negative 1 times d. So if you need to write that in, do that. Undo negative 1 times something by dividing by negative 1. If you do it there, do it here. 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. That part cancels out. D then is equal to negative 3.